other communities won't. It will bring the community better. It will generate more funds than the Armory. It don't take a scientist to figure this out. It will generate more funds. The number one thing people does for kids is give them a birthday party. And where do we got to go? We got to go way to Richmond, rent an 8 by 10 room for almost $200 for 2 hours. When you got that armory over there, I mean the community center over there, that you could build over there and make a lot more money. It'd be a lot useful. Have anybody reached out to the county? Because this is bigger than Blackstone. This is for everybody. Have anybody reached out to the board of supervisors or anybody and asked them would they come aboard to help in building the community center? Because it's just as much their responsibility as is the town of Blackstone. Because it's going to benefit everybody in Nottaway County. We got so many elder people that goes to Farmville just to get into the pool. Why they got to travel up there and they can do this right here in your own backyard? We got ball fields though that not being used right because you could generate a lot more money if you do AAU ball over there. It's a lot of money that could be made in here if we go out there and do it. The Armory, yes, hey, if that's what they want, that's what they want. But is that more important to the community? That's what you got to think about. What is more important? Could that be on the Army be on the hold for a while? They can still generate money. You could take money that you're making off the community center and put that towards it. But what's going to benefit the community now? I never in my life seen nobody want to move to Blackstone because you got a place to have a dance at. That don't make sense. And that's what we is looking at. They're going to offer GED. We got all this. We got after school tutoring. The churches offer that. After school offer that. The kids need downtime, not just school stuff all the time.
I don't want to cut you off. We do have a long agenda. Is it basically summarizing your events? This is the first time I've really heard this before. Are you asking this council to proceed with a study for a community center that would include an indoor pool? Am I reading your remarks correctly?
You're reading me correctly on that.
Okay,
I mean, it's,
well, like I told someone today, if you come to this podium as a citizen of Blackstone and ask, it will be forwarded and it will be studied. I'm going to refer your request to the Parks and Recreation Committee. This is the first time it's been formally received. And it is
not only that, an indoor track. I mean, because with the swimming pool, we could have kids that become on the swim team and stuff. Indoor track, now that we got to run inside the school. Why you should have to run inside your school for indoor track when you can do this here?
There is a process that we go through, and it's usually through the committee referral. I'm going to ask that the Parks and Recreation take the first bite at it, Mr. Benorbak, followed by Accountant Finance. Just as we've done, I believe, the Armory's been talked about, and we hear your request, and we thank you for coming tonight. And we appreciate the spirit of your remarks.
And I thank you for showing up on Saturday.
I enjoyed it. I wish I could stay longer.
And thank y'all again.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Our next two speakers are rather routine. It's Beverly Ames for the Arts and Crafts Festival, which is the 50th anniversary Arts and Crafts Festival. I think we have some boilerplate issues to be approved. We're ready. It's in the packet. I'd entertain a motion right now, to be honest with you, unless there's something new you want to throw at us.
No, go ahead. You want to do it?
It's information in your packet. It's September 14th to 15th.
I move to approve of the parade permit, which is included in your package showing where.
5K route.
Include the 5K route,
Tractor parade.
banner application.
There is no tractor parade.
I'm sorry, there is no. You're right. I'm sorry.
I'll go by, she's got it.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Move to approve banner application and waive the banner fee.
Thank you.
Use of the Armory, or do you want to do that separate, obviously?
Use of the Armory. That's not a consent agenda, is it? Oh, use of the Armory. Yes.
It's on her request.
Yes, it is. It most certainly is. Use of the continued use of the Armory for the Arts and Crafts Festival.
Partial closure of High Street, Tavern Street, End Street, and Alley, and that's for the race. No, that's for
That's for the Arts and
Arts
Crafts
and Crafts
Festival.
itself. And waive the noise ordinance for DJs, choirs, remote radio,
Saturday and Sunday,
Saturday and Sunday.
What are the hours both days of the festival? Is it 9 to 6 or 9 to 5?
10 to 5,
10 to 5, both days.
both days.
Okay.
And what are we doing with the Armory? Are we holding on that or are we approving that?
I mean, I'm for continuing as we do in the past.
I think we need to have more discussion before we do the Armory thing.
Okay. Well,
Well, I'll separate that out then. So
all right.
Let's separate it
All
out.
right. Mr. Nash is moving to approve everything in your packet but the use of the Armory for the 50th Annual Arts and Crafts Festival. Is that a motion?
So
Is there a second to Mr. Nash's motion?
Second.
Ms. Hasbrook is second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? That motion carries 7-0. Before we get to the Armory, just one thing, I should have said this earlier tonight as parliamentarian. Tonight, I'm usually pretty informal. I recognize if you raise your hand tonight, everyone's coming to the podium and no one's speaking at each other in the audience. Everyone's speaking to the council, just as Ms. Ames is doing and just as Mr. Johnson did. Continue. Now, the Armory.
like, I will make a motion to, and we can discuss it after I make it, that's fine, to allow the arts and crafts and obviously the wine festival and the wedding reception that's on the list to be used. It's still currently a town building until it's otherwise deemed, then we'll take note otherwise.
Okay.
I have a question about that.
Well, let's see if Mr. Nash's motion gets a second, then we'll have time for discussion. The motion's on the floor, it's been made and seconded. This is when we have discussion. Mr. Miller.
Okay, my question is, how can we rent this Armory out for weddings and things like this when we don't even have a policy? Okay, this thing with the Civil Air Patrol came up this weekend, and I was approached by 4 people. Oh, so I can go get the Armory now for $250. When that $250 question came up, it should have been addressed. Because now you got people thinking, hey, I can use this Armory for $250. Bam, bam. And we have never even sat down and discussed the scope yet.
In my opinion, my opinion's still firm, that obviously the community needs to speak through a voting day.
That's right.
But until then, it's still a town use building, and I would welcome anybody to use it every day for $250. That's perfectly fine, until we deem otherwise to figure out what we're gonna do.
But what I'm saying is, I think it needs to be more discussed. I mean, I'm not against the wedding or anything like this, but what I'm saying is, I think the rules, and I think that this project should be put on hold until we, as council, decide what's going to do. Because right now, it seems like to me like you're trying to run over top of council.
Well, mate, with the Arts and Crafts, just in fairness, and your points are well taken, but in fact, the Arts and Crafts Festival has used the Armory since I was like 11. No, actually, since I was 6, 1974. So, and they've used it free of charge.
This is our 50th
used
anniversary.
it
There
free
were
of
only
charge.
2 years that we were not able to use it.
Right. Maybe you want to leave the wedding off the chamber. They've always used it free. And
That's fine. I mean,
What does VML stand on the building? What does VML stand on the building?
we read the letter last week. VML wants everybody who rents the Armory or uses the Armory to have their own separate liability insurance policy,
Including the nonprofit group, the Armory.
which I have been told today informally that has been achieved.
And I have this in my hand.
Right.
There-
So that's, the town's got liability insurance, the 501c3. Now, this request
Do not have-
is coming directly to the town.
And the chamber should have theirs.
And they also recommended that we initiate a policy for the building, so we don't have to keep going
Right.
per event.
Right. Well, like I said, August 28th,
Sure, we
August
don't have
28th
we're
to
gonna
is,
see change
Original
pretty
on
soon.
it.
That's
August
fine.
28th is gonna be a bellwether date, one way or the other, on the Armory.
I got it.
So,
I'm passing around a copy of our
that's
insurance.
fine. So you also have insurance?
Yes, he just
Okay,
gave it
so,
to me.
okay, we've got,
And it's
okay.
got today's date on it, so it is current.
And one quick question about the insurance.
After Wednesday, that was the first thing I did with the board.
Do you know, just real quick, is it Scooter Coger, does he have his own insurance, or how is that?
I talked to him today. He was gonna try and come tonight. He needed to know what he needed to do.
We didn't know if it was going through yours, or if it's going through Arts and Crafts.
The questions about the chainsaw.
The chainsaw
Timber
guy.
sports.
Grown men and chainsaws, what could possibly go wrong?
But just,
And that's what I told him I would find out if he wasn't here tonight
I
to,
think we got plenty of lead time to.
Right.
we'll get that
Before.
straight.
you'll get with him?
But one question I was asked today by a member of council is, for example, if, let's say my wife and I want to go renew our vows in Sea Park next week, all I have to do is call town hall. It's no That's just hypothetical. All I have to do is call town hall, and pretty much I get booked, right? In C Park, which I step into the gazebo, I could fall.
We just have to, we should check with the church, with Nancy at the church to make sure the parking lot's available. 'Cause they're not
Okay.
doing anything.
Right,
And if
so
they're not,
I think where we're going, like I said, I think what a lot of people have said is that the standards by which the Civil Air Patrol had to jump through at the last hour from BML, our insurance carrier, have not always in the past applied to other groups doing activities on town property. I think that was where the rub was. And if I'm speaking out of turn, y'all let me
That
know.
may be a fair criticism.
Okay.
We just, once we contacted VML or Jennifer contacted them, I can't say we're beholden, but we probably need to be thoughtful about what they, and it started with the wrestling, if you remember.
Right.
That's really where the whole thing said. It's not an unfair criticism that they're getting picked at, but we probably haven't been calling VML about the Arts and Crafts Festival or calling VML about ongoing projects. So I take the criticism, it's fair, but we're trying to follow VML. You know, when we send stuff to them, we don't want to just ignore their recommendations. We want to, at a minimum, bring them to the surface. Not unfair criticism.
We have a good start with the square, with DBI helping develop an application process, which could be therefore done for across the board for all the public spaces that are being used by citizens and groups.
Right. DBI controls the programming of the town square. I think the only time it comes before the council is if there's alcohol. Is that right?
Or a
Typically.
for-profit.
Or for-profit group, right. So what do y'all wish, Mr. Miller, you spoken, any other concerns about the chamber? The chamber only using the armory for the 50th Annual Arts and Crafts Festival?
Chamber and Wine Festival.
Is the Wine Festival, is that the actual, that's a rain location?
That's a rain venue.
It's on the grounds of Swartz Tavern, which again is town property. That's the Saturday, October 26th from 12 to 6 p.m.
And they've been providing us, if I'm not mistaken, with a tulip policy for,
And that's normally when I would check with BML, is when it came before you guys, and it had alcohol, they had to purchase the tulip policy, and I would immediately get notified when they purchased it, and that was their okay. Even when you guys did the Rocktoberfest,
Right.
that went to the 11th hour, the
Right.
Friday before.
It did.
But that was the only time I ever checked with BML when it comes to you guys, like the park and everything else. But we talked to BML today, and she said I should be checking all events. Bigger localities do that.
Okay, all right, so we're gonna all try to get better.
We're learning as we go, but normally I didn't pass it on to VML until it came to you all. Just
Understood.
Like the wrestling event, and then that's where we learn about
All right.
all these other.
Let's move on with the agenda. We have a motion and a second to allow the Arts and Crafts to use the Armory, as well as the Wine Festival to use the Armory as an alternate location. Who starts on the roll call tonight? Is it Mr. Morgan's turn? We'll have a roll call vote starting with Mr. Morgan.
Aye.
No?
Aye.
Motion carries 6-1. That takes care of Beverly Ames and Robert Thomas. One question for you, Beverly, just on the spot. And this is being from old time Blackstone. Is the Arts and Crafts Festival from this point forward always the second weekend in September, or is it the weekend after Labor Day? We don't know yet.
It is always the second weekend, the second Saturday and Sunday.
Okay. Very good. People,
Can't say the second weekend.
okay.
Second Saturday and Sunday.
Okay, very good, very good. Thank you for everything you're doing for the chamber.
Thank you.
And we had a visitor number 4 was Daphne Cole.
Hold on.
I'm sorry.
Also, to move to approve the banner permit and waive the fee for the Wine and Beer Festival.
Okay, that's the standard resolution for the banner festival, the banners. Ms. Thompson is second and Mr. Nash's motion. Any further discussion? Just a waive of the banner permit fee. We'll have 2 banners up in close proximity to each other. All in favor say aye.
Hold it, but can
Yes.
we go ahead and approve the other one too? We got another one too from the fire department and,
You want to take the whole consent
yeah,
agenda?
wanna take the,
do you wanna do the consent?
Yeah, you want to amend your motion to include the whole consent agenda?
Sure.
All right. It is so amended. It's been made and seconded. All in favor say aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. So we've taken care
We
of,
added Heritage Hall in that too. from
yes,
today.
they have a 5K on October 5th.
Okay, so everything,
All right, so now if you're following along at home, we're on visitor number 4, and that is Daphne Cole. Glad to see you here.
It's good to see you all. Good evening, Mayor Colburn, Chairman Barbara Thompson, and the members of the Town Council. I want to take a moment to thank you for a number of different things. So I know you're in a hurry, but I learned a whole lot of things. I didn't know all this was going on, so I'll be glad to share. But anyway, here we go. So, thank you for the support of the dog poo stations that are throughout town. It looks like they're being used appropriately, and I want to thank you for permission to place the bluebird nesting boxes throughout town. They seem to be popular. We managed to fledge birds in almost all the boxes this season, and the season is over now. But the boxes will now serve as roosting spots for the birds in the fall and the winter, and then they start over again. So late in November, you'll see me out winterizing the boxes for the birds when they come through. Now, I also want to have a shout out. You know how my emphasis is conservation and children. So a couple years ago, I came with concerns about the helium balloons being released. And there is a Virginia state law, but it's a little bit lax in that it says that you can allow 30 at one time. So 30 being released to the Chesapeake Bay or into a river or somebody's farm is an issue, but we'll move on from that. But today, as I drove through town, I was so excited to see Green Automotive. Instead of floating helium balloons, he had those nice plastic ones that go up. They last a long time. They're not bothering anybody. They're right there on the car. So I think that's great. A big thank you to Billy Colburn for signing on. I was very concerned. The parks and the buildings here in Blackstone, we're not dealing with native plants very well. In fact, if you go to the park, I know people use them for weddings, but our park leaves very much to be desired. And I'm going to talk about that in just a minute. But anyway, so my friend Kirsten Holmes came across a program called Mayors for Monarchs. And Billy went Mayor Colburn.
I'm Billy.
Yeah, officially. He signed on, so there's a number of different programs that we signed on for to make our town and our area more amenable to the monarch butterfly and other pollinators as well. And so you'll be hearing from him on that when they go through. So tonight, what I have is I have several goals that are all linked together with the ecology and tourism. And I appreciate hearing Mr. Johnson talk about tourism because I do believe the pools would bring in. I know my daughter didn't have the advantages of having a competitive pool here. So we drove to Richmond, and she was a state-recognized athlete, and she swam as a Title I swimmer at West Point. But she did not have that advantage. And we traveled across the state to small towns, just like Blackstone, Radford, Waynesboro, who had pools that had, the facility was set up so that it could be indoor and outdoor. We also went to military facilities such as the Naval Weapons Station. They had them as well. Of course, you know, they were using that for SEALs training and so on, but they made it available. So I just want to add that in there, that really brought in a lot of business because when those people come in for those competitive championships, hundreds of people are there for those people to compete. And they stay overnight, which we don't have really a hotel that would accommodate the people. So I'm not sure where they would stay, but it's an idea.
We're working on that.
Yes. So anyway, so I'm sorry, I didn't plan on doing that. Like I said, I was surprised on that. But it's something that for years I hoped for that we never had. Okay.
Very good.
And so anyway, so from there, so several weeks ago, I did stop by here when the Office of Tourism was here for Blackstone, and I went around the room with the different things. But one of the questions they asked was, what do I seek when I go to visit other places? What do I seek when I go to other places? Without fail, my husband and I are looking for gardens. We're looking for birding. We like to bike. And we have our old canoe that we take out. Particularly what we're looking for is we're looking for birds, which, by the way, today I saw a golden-throated warbler in my yard, which that means the migration is coming through. You need to target that group of people because those people are intelligent, they have a lot of money, and when they find out that there's a special bird, they will head down here. In fact, they are coming here. They're posting various birds that we have there. In particular, there's one bird called the American woodcock, which is on Kirsten's Holmes property over here on Nottoway Avenue. people go crazy for that bird because it has a lecking behavior and they come in. So anyway, so I'm just telling you that that's something that we have here. We don't have to do anything special for it. We just need to be able to accommodate these people. So, and when they ask me, what do I look for? That's what I'm looking for. I want to be able to bike. I want to be able to do trails. My husband and I do bike. We bike out to the wildlife refuge and back, which most of the time it's a pretty good ride, but sometimes people in big trucks take great pleasure in riding by and with the diesel, so we hang in there.
Right.
But there are all kinds of birds out there that people are interested in. Okay. So now, I'll tell you, over the years, if it says Birding and Wildlife Trail, we've gone to the littlest, tiniest little, couldn't be any bigger than this area. But what happened? I went there because there was a birding and a wildlife trail, and we could have them right here in the center of Blackstone. Now, with that in mind, I've said that few realize how many diverse species, and I mentioned the American woodcock. Many of you take it for granted that you hear bobwhite, although lately we hear a lot of bobwhite out in my neighborhood, which hasn't occurred in a long time. I don't know if y'all are familiar with that. But bobwhite, chuck-bill widows, I know everybody loves wild turkeys, but prairie grasshoppers, meadowlarks, I could go on and on. We even have eagles in the town of Blackstone. That people want to see. We have an osprey out on that pond as well. These are all within minutes of walking or biking through the town of Blackstone. Then I have a question. Our town lists that we are a bird sanctuary. And I wondered, how did we get that designation? When did it come along? What are the goals that are established by knowledgeable experts to protect birds and provide birds with a healthy environment? Who did that? How can we put it on our sign if we really don't know where it came from? And what is it that we were supposed to accomplish by advertising that? Although it's a good draw, people are saying, bird sanctuary, headed there. So I will tell you that my travels to Sea Park, Schwartz's Tavern, the Memorial Center and Park seem to indicate that the town doesn't have a coordinated program that promotes healthy plantings for birds and pollinators. All these areas do have grasses, but did you know that grasses are just slightly better than pavement because the water washes completely off of it and into the drains? Phil, do we still have a problem with water quality in Blackstone?
Do we?
Not the last
I'm
few tests.
asking you.
Not the last few tests we've had in the state.
No E. coli, no oil?
The last 3 years, we used to have that certain algae that would come up during droughts.
Polyamine.
Yeah.
Okay.
But as far as the water that's delivered to the town,
Right.
the only two results that we had, if you remember, probably back in 2015.
That's right.
We had two back heat tests, come back hot, one of them
Right.
here, and there was another one downtown. And that's why we're redoing our water project out there at Fort Pickett and doing additional recirculation.
Okay, good.
I don't want to rush it. We do have
Okay,
a.
okay,
but, yeah.
all right, so now, I do want to point out that on these empty lots that the town of Blackstone has gone through, and they've taken care of these decaying buildings. But what they do is they just level the lot. They don't put trees or shrubs that are native. And then these empty lots, as I said, the water washes off, goes straight into the drain, and we've improved. I guess the only time we get a notice is if it's bad, which it seems like I had a notice not too long ago. But trees clean water. And I see that I know that if it's a tree that's damaging, but if we're removing trees just randomly, just clear the lot and let's sell it. We need to be placing trees and shrubs on these lots that we go through. And there are many places where if you cut down a tree, you need to replace that tree because of how important it is. I'm not sure what happened out here at the old school property, but there's like 6 trees that have been cut down. I did look, some of them had centers. All right, so moving on. So I have to pay for cleaning water that can be done correctly with putting trees, which we don't have to pay as much to put in chlorine as we go through. So now, what I'm asking for you is that they have several different organizations. There's one called Tree City. There's one called Bee City, Tree USA, Bees USA, Birds USA, all the same, very similar to the same organization, where we go through and The main thing is to be able to plant native plants. Native plants do not require a lot of water because they're from this area. If we put native plants, you're going to have birds, you're going to have pollinators that people will want to come.
Would you be willing to, and I'll be honest with you, and I'm ashamed to admit this, I don't know a lot about native plants and trees. Would you be willing to work with the town manager and have a list? So next time we go to
Absolutely.
clear, and you would also be a wonderful candidate for our beautification committee meetings, which are going to jumpstart probably next month.
Okay, that sounds good.
I hate to cut you off, we just
Oh,
got a
no,
busy
I know,
agenda,
I know, I'm
but
sorry.
I definitely applaud your conservation efforts. That's why I don't always cut my grass so low. I like to leave it high
Well,
to keep the water
well,
runoff.
He sees, I posted, but I do want to say one thing last, is it says that if you engage in these projects, that pride is sometimes a less tangible benefit by doing these programs. But gaining and being proud of the gardens, the trees, the infrastructure of your town, having swimming pools, I have to throw that in there, it really makes you proud of your town and a place that people want to come to. Right now, Sea Park is not much.
We're working on, Jenny Davis Bunn is taking that on, and we're going to have a committee meeting on Friday about the park.
Okay.
So we
Very
appreciate
good.
that, and there'll be a notification on that meeting.
Yeah, and those little houses.
That's the main topic, is what to do about the little houses. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Cole. That's all the visitors we had scheduled tonight. There are 2 occasions to address your officials, one at the beginning, one at the end. I would like to, because we talked about it earlier, a little foreshadowing. I believe Daniel Falwell's in the audience, and the one request we did not take up, we kind of abandoned in mid-discussion, was the use of the Army. He's got on here under new business. He and his bride-to-be would like to use the Army for a wedding reception on October the 11th. Is that right? I'm sorry, October 12th. If y'all would like to come forward, it's in your packet. I just know you're sitting back there and you've got a million things to do planning the wedding, because my daughter got married this year. No need to sit here till 10 o'clock. We'd like to hear from you.
Okay, so first of all, I just wanted to let everyone know that we had already thought about having the armory for our reception before all of this stuff started.
How long ago roughly did you begin to eyeball the Armory for a possible?
3 weeks ago.
Okay.
Yeah. So we just got we just got engaged at the beach on August 5th.
Congratulations.
And the reason why we're trying to rush everything is because my mom has brain tumors and we don't know how long she's going to be living. She could live for a month, she could live for another 10 years, we just don't know. So that's why everything's kind of rushed. The Armory would be a great place because it's in the town of Blackstone. She lives right in Chesterfield, almost in Amelia. She wouldn't have to travel. It can accommodate everyone that we would like to invite. There's enough space, and it's a historic landmark, and it's a beautiful building. And after, all of the pictures on Facebook of the new renovations, why would we not want to have our reception there? I know that there's insurance stuff, and we are going to be having alcohol at the wedding, so we will get the ABC licensure and the insurance that is required in order for us to, keep everything safe. I just kind of need to know if it is approved, how much, and if the rental fee is going to go towards the town, or if it could be made as a donation to the Armory for the renovations, and then we can just kind of go from there.
Okay, very good. Would the groom care to add anything, or the bride took care of it pretty well, didn't she?
She knocked it out of the park.
When in doubt, we're planning the wedding, groom, just be quiet. That's right. That's right.
She knocked it out of the park. Everything that we needed to say. The only thing is just to ask for permission to use and see what we have to do going from here.
If this council were to agree to grant the request and set a price and a deposit, you would agree to provide the proof of insurance?
Absolutely.
If the vote is for. Members of council, what is your pleasure?
Again, until we have a defined plan, which I can tell you, it's gonna come pretty soon after the open house. I'd say that we move to approve with the money coming to the town of Blackstone, in the amount of $250, as long as we get satisfactory insurance for alcohol and whatever else.
Do you want to require a refundable deposit? But they used to do the Memorial Center years ago. You had a fee and you had a refundable deposit that was also put down for, in case it had to be cleaned.
Well, I like to look at, he's a fireman for Blackstone, so I say we respect.
We know who he is.
We respect a volunteer.
Hey, that is your motion, $250 rent, and the money will come to the town.
Correct.
All right, is there a second to the motion?
Second.
All right, Colonel Tom Wilkinson, a second. Discussion, Mr. Miller.
Okay. Now, I don't have anything against the wedding. I happy to see you break your neck, but anyway, how, okay. So are we just gonna keep on, if somebody writes a letter and say we wanna use the armory, are we gonna keep on letting this happen, or are we gonna establish a policy?
That would be up to this
Because-
council to decide.
I mean, because right now, and don't get me, I'm not against the armory. The only thing I've ever said and ever will say is, I don't think taxpayers' money should do it. So, but I'm saying anything that we do, we have to have policies and rules. It can't be, Billy, can I rent the armory tomorrow? You say yeah, okay.
Well, I
We
wouldn't
make
say,
it-
I don't have the
but-
authority to say this, but this council would.
But what I'm saying is, and then it comes to staff, and we hanging out here again.
Right. Well, I think what Mr. Nash is saying, you correct me if I'm wrong, is that there is a decision day coming, probably a week after the open house, where the trajectory of the armory is going to be set. Meanwhile, you've got a building that is viable and desirable. I'm just going to give a plug to the Army volunteers, who I don't think we show enough appreciation for. It is in the best shape of my life on this planet, and I played basketball there from the ages of 7 through 13. It's the best it's ever looked. So, as long as it's desirable and rentable, and the people have the insurance, I don't see really, just like C Park, or the square, or the fire station. These are all town facilities that people rent all the time. Heck, there are groups that have baby showers at the fire department where people get called to rush to the fire station. I don't know who they are. It never comes before the council. But y'all set the policy, and you speak through your motions. That's all I can tell you.
Say until we decide the fate of whatever direction we're gonna go, again, like Billy said, it's gonna be pretty soon. Each request comes before us, as it is.
That's the policy right now.
Until the voting day, until we get this.
Correct.
voting
Right,
day.
you-
Yeah,
right,
We
right,
definitely gonna
right.
get a voting day.
Well, like I said, that's what Wednesday, August 28th for. And this coming Wednesday, we're going to enjoy open house. I went in the building last 2 months ago and saw the bathrooms at the beginning. I've only seen pictures on Facebook, so I'm looking forward to next Wednesday to see with my own eyes up close. Motion has been made and seconded. Any further discussion? This is the time to speak. Let your constituents know where you stand. I'm going to ask for a roll call vote, starting again with Mr. Morgan. On the motion to grant permission to use the reception on Saturday, August 12th, what are the hours?
October 12th.
October 12th, what are the hours?
So we need to get in on Friday in the afternoons, that way we can set up for the decorations.
Okay.
So I'm thinking 1 o'clock till 5. And then on Saturday, we need it from 2 to 12 or 1 in the mornings, that way we can clean up everything and get everything out.
Okay, all right. All right, you've heard that, and staff. Any further discussion? I'll have a roll call vote, starting with Mr. Morgan.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, with reservations.
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0. Congrats, you may now kiss the bride. All right. Moving right along to our fire chief's report. Is Chief Tomer in the house? We got Chief.
Yes, sir.
That's all right. Hey, good to see you, Zach. Is it your birthday or your brother's? Is it your birthday or Cody's?
Cody's.
Cody's. All right.
Better looking.
Mine's good. All right, got the packet in front of you. We need to get permission for our street closures for September 14th, open house. Same spots, everywhere you can come in and out of
Or
town.
the boot drive.
Boot
You said
drive,
open
what did I
house.
say, open house?
So moved.
So moved, thank you.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded to approve the department's annual boot drive on the morning of Saturday, September 14th.
What are the hours for that?
Be on the street by 8 o'clock and be off by 3, 8 to 3.
Customary, that's just normally what y'all done in the
Yes,
past.
yes.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0.
All right, ladder testing, truck 9 failed ladder testing. Yeah, I'm not going to make any comments on that, but,
Well, no, that's important. What does that mean, seriously? I've been reading these reports.
so.
We basically do not have a ladder truck that can function in Blackstone right now. If
We
we had a
cannot
fire.
use the ladder on top, but we can use the ladders that come out the back of it, which are 45 and down.
Okay,
It can still operate at a scene, but we can't put the tower up itself.
okay.
So Dion's probably talking to Philip possibly, or somebody in the near future to either gotta fix it, or hopefully within the next month, we'll hear about the grant
The FEMA grant.
to get a new one.
Okay.
Fingers crossed, pray.
But you could take a night, God forbid, if something really bad happened on a two-story building, the truck would be functional. It would roll out the station to render aid.
Yes.
But you're not gonna use the
The big,
ladder on the
right,
back.
the
We
big
got-
scope.
We
Yeah.
got like 8 ladders in the back and on the sides we can take
Okay,
off of it.
okay.
So they'll be used. So that's the bad news. The good news is the pump testing, everything passed. We had a couple seals that were leaking with the gentleman from Pierce fixed it that day, so that's awesome. Our commercial freezer donated to us has kicked the bucket, and as we carried a lot of our stuff in, we had a bunch of stuff in there, and we fixed it, pieced it together, and now it's just shop.
And I think Dion's getting some prices and replacement.
Yeah.
Okay.
Open house, here we go.
There you go. That's the fun part.
October 6th, we're gonna have the car fire prop from Farmville come down. We're gonna do a live burn again. Everybody can stand in the back of the station, see a car fire, come in back behind the station and put the fire out for the public to see. Be pretty cool. That's October 6th from 1 to 4. Ordered 3 radios, 2 through the Forester grant and 1 through budgeted funds. These are a little bit better than what we had, especially being out in the county, being able to hit the towers in the county to talk to the dispatcher. So it helps out tremendously.
Excellent.
And point out that those 3 radios were over $10,000.
Yeah, so they're not getting cheap.
3 radios, $10,000.
Wow. All right.
So some of us that live out in the county got them, officers got them, so that helps out tremendously. Went to National Night Out to help out crew, and Jimmy Falwell, after 38 years of service this month, is going inactive. I'm not 100% sure what's going on, but he just wanted to take a couple months off to get some stuff straight, so 38 years of service, I think he needs a break.
Appreciate
So.
that a lot.
Absolutely. Any questions of our Assistant Chief? Zach, we thank you.
Have a good night.
Thank you so much. We have some employees with young children, so I want to skip payment of bills for a second and go to committee reports with the Accounting and Finance first. We're going to have a recommendation tonight on, I believe, a compensation study and also possibly doing away with the pink slips, the physical delivery of the pink slips. Am I right? Who would like to speak on these committees or deliver the committee reports? It's Mr. Nash's committee. Yes, Accounting and Finance. I was asked to move that up for the...
Well, employment and police and account finance like run together with.
She's gonna do that.
And start with employment, please.
Okay, then we will start with employment and police. That issue went to 2 committees, that's what confused me.
Correct.
Okay,
We took
gotcha.
it, we bid out a compensation study to 4 vendors. We only got 2 replies. Employment and Police recommended to use Baker Tilly for our compensation study.
This is a $19,800 quote, they were the low bidder, and not
That'll
just,
review 40 positions. They will also recommend up to 3 cost scenarios for however we're off on salaries. They will look at benefits. They will also come up with a plan we can use moving forward for staffing or titles, position names. It'll actually give us a program to use rather than just everybody's a police officer or.
so it lets you, to make a long story short, with what I've gathered from the committee meeting, it lets you, first of all, compare the wages and benefits of the town employees versus entities that are likely to draw them away, Fort Pickett being one, other towns similar size.
Yes.
But also for the person that says, I love my town job, I want to do the best I can and have a path forward, it allows us to set benchmarks where, hey, look, if you were to get certified or become a master certificate in your position, you could stay with us and increase your pay over time.
We want to find benchmarks, instead of saying, well, we think this person, we want to have benchmarks when they're achieved, and then that's worth something. We do that with the wastewater guys, and we have the electric department on a tiered system like that, and they can see a path forward. I get my class 4 license, I get $1 an hour, and I can move forward.
Right.
We'd like to also provide that opportunity to the police department and the professional staff here as well. A master treasurer, a master clerk, any of those kinds of things.
So we've listed all the positions and how we propose to pay out of professional fees out of each department.
Okay.
$2,800, or we can split it between the major funds, general, electric, water and sewer, and bus.
It wasn't out of the budget, but you have found a way to pay for it without any too much pain across the
I
board.
think we can find.
Yeah, I don't foresee
may
an
have to break it up.
appropriation, but I'll have to
Okay.
look at it mid-year again.
I expressed when it was brought to our committee, I expressed a little bit of concern for the simple fact that, and not to say that I know that our employees are paid less, but it gives us, we're gonna give them the top 3 that are above us that people are typically drawn from here. So technically, we're gonna have a document that will say, hey, Nathaniel, here's Fort Pickett, they're gonna pay you this if you go out there. Here's Crew, if you go there, this is what you're gonna pay. I'm leery of the whole process, and you're gonna pay them $20,000 to give a document to an employee that will say, oh, yeah, you can get paid more to go out.
Here's your greener pasture. Here's your one, and here are the greener pastures. But it's also going to show you some towns that are going to be below Blackstone. I would venture to say, of course, we don't know until we get the report. I would venture to say, in Blackstone, Virginia, with the benefits that the town employees have,
The insurance will make
Is a
ours
pretty good
hopefully
equalizer.
go back up.
But it's also going to be a budgeting tool for
Right.
Philip and I. We can go through this program that they propose, and we can come up with the different positions that are, instead of just trying to, I think he's been trying to do a department at a time each budget year. And
trying to wing it, and then, like you said, you get the unexpected blindside where it's like, hey, next year we got 9 employees that are going to hit a benchmark of 20 years.
The educational component,
Right.
we find out certain ones, it's a path forward, and we present it to employment and police, and
Well, the committee,
it's a, whatever you guys want to
the
do.
Employment and Police Committee recommended approval. Did the Finance Committee also do that? Oh,
They
y'all
wanted to
did?
review it some more.
Okay.
Yeah, they wanted more time. I
Okay.
sent them, did you guys get the
Yeah,
sample?
but to be honest, that was just 3 days ago, so.
That's your committee. You're the chair of that. You have, Ms. Thompson chairs the Employment and Police Committee. Ms. Thompson, do you have a recommendation or a preference?
No, it sounds good to the committee, what you brought before us.
If I could ask, just because I know budget's a ways away, can we Tom and I actually look at this, and Sheila, until next month? Like I said, we got the information, and I didn't have time.
I don't see why
I
not.
think that's okay.
That's fine.
You know,
To me, $20,000 is a lot.
it is, but their process does, I believe, take about 5 months. So in order to be able to implement
sure
it
this
for
month. It's coming.
the budget season, I would need it by January.
Oh,
But I need to give them approval 5 months.
Oh, I asked for a sample. So take Jennifer Hardy. She could give us, if we were to submit her information to this company, to Baker, whatever it's called, Baker Tilly.
Springstead, yep.
What do they actually provide with us? So she provided us with an actual example study of that position from a different locality so that we could look over and see, what information do you truly gain from this $20,000? And I like the aspect of being able to budget. Now, we're not gonna be able, if we get all 40 positions and in 1 year, if it comes in that Blackstone's low, we're not gonna be able to make all 40 positions come up
And
to
I think
level
most people,
standard in 1 year.
yeah, I think most
by
people
no
understand
means.
that.
I think you can get understanding with that.
But I have
you
not
can't do
seen,
it in a year's time.
and also, and like I said, I used to be a big private sector, it does more than the public sector and all that. You folks work with the public, you've got to be at your best on your worst day. But you correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Novak, I have not seen the exodus of town employees to the private sector. I have not seen that around here.
I think in Nottaway County, our competition is not necessarily Farmville and South Hill, which are our peers, I guess, size-wise.
It's Pickett.
Well, Pickett. That's really our.
And Fast C, we don't even know what Fast C is going to be long-term,
I
so.
think those are gonna drive your costs up for administrative folks, for sure.
Right.
Federal jobs and those kind of things, or good state jobs and good state benefits. Those are the competition.
But
I
our
think
insurance
it's gonna be a valuable tool, because not only will it make it easier for them to adjust for budget, but it also maybe it'll send the employees a message like, they're really trying to see what they can do to take care of us.
Morale.
And she's got 5 months. Tonight, we need to vote. We had to vote on Christmas decorations at a second notice. I don't see why we can't take care of this.
We will vote on the compensation study at the September meeting. Is that okay?
Definitely, yeah. And
I don't think
again,
that's
I
gonna cut,
support
that's not gonna make the deadline, is it?
Oh, she
Don't
said
you have
5
to have
months.
5 months?
We don't start
in
budgeting in
January?
February, March.
But she gotta have it by January, right?
Do you need to know, do you need a vote tonight? Slow and steady wins the race. I'd say when in doubt, don't do anything to rush. We've heard about rush. Let's don't rush.
Well, that's why we send it to committee meetings before it comes to council.
True. Well, if you want to the floor is open.
I surely trust her judgment and everything she told us in the committee meeting. I think it'll benefit the whole, not only, their end, but the employees' end as well.
That sounds like
And
a
you got a
preamble
lot
to a
bumping
motion.
up that's gonna be happening out here, and you don't know if you're gonna lose anybody or not. So I say we get ahead of the game.
Is that a motion?
I make a motion.
Mr. Morgan has moved to approve the bid of $19,800 with Springstead. It's also called Baker Tilly, it's the same firm. Is there a second to Mr. Morgan's motion? Ms. Thompson, who chairs the committee, is seconded. Any further discussion? I will ask for a roll call vote starting tonight's Mr. Morgan's night. Mr. Morgan.
Aye.
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 Nay.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-2. Is next accountant finance with the pink slips?
That's the only thing on our agenda.
All right. This is fairly significant, ladies and gentlemen, what's going to be reported tonight.
Okay, sorry, I have to find it.
Glad to have our treasurer back.
Thank you.
Round 2 of being a new mom.
Yes. Yeah, you have it. Sorry, I wasn't prepared.
It's okay. This is our treasurer. She does a fine job. Her name is Brittany Harris. Our finance director is Jennifer Hardy for the audience. Both are outstanding. Our wonderful clerk is Jennifer Dan. And y'all know that guy right there.
Okay, so what we're proposing is to stop the delivering of the pink slips. We would still have the $12.50 fee, so we wouldn't be losing any money for the town. It's just basically a hassle for the electric department to deliver the pink slips. Some customers refuse, some of them, if it's bad weather that day, fly into the street, so it's a privacy concern. So we'll still have the fee, it just won't be called a pink slip fee anymore. It'll be clearly on the bill, in bold, you'll have your 5%, the $12.50 late fee, the $12.50 reconnect, in bold on your bill every month. So you'll know what happens if you don't pay your bill on time.
So every bill from now on is going to have the schedule for those who may have lived here 30 years and the person just moved here from Indiana.
Yep.
They're going to get a bill that says, oh, these are the important dates you have to remember.
If you go to the example, and Tom actually asked if we could, instead of just having a regular rectangular box, to maybe make it, starred around it or something like that.
Yeah, just to put it, the revised one that you're, it should.
And I believe
It's just bolded, more still a standout.
It was standout more.
Okay. And I believe the committee is recommending that we're not going to do this immediately. It would start November 1st. The next 2 months, those who are late would get pink slips.
But
And then November 1st.
In the meantime, on those pink slips, we are going to be purchasing a stamp to stamp on those pink slips, notifying them that effective November 1, you will not be getting pink slips anymore.
And we'll be doing code red for a few months to let them know.
Townwide code red about announcing the change.
So on the 3rd of each month, Jennifer can put up a message just notifying the customers, you have 2 months before we'll stop the delivery of pink slips. You have 1 month until the stop.
And the reason for this, ladies and gentlemen, is not because everybody's looking to do less work. Our town staff calculated the labor hours. I believe the figure was $22,800 a year in labor time, formulating the pink slip list, developing printing the pink slips, and then the hand delivery of the pink slips by our public works people. Was that correct?
You figure it takes 2 guys, or it takes 2 sets of 2 guys in the electric department, 2 separate days to deliver pink slips.
320, 315, 300.
12 times a year.
And then we have to mail some get refused, so we're using postage.
Right.
So we have to mail them.
My only concern as a person, let's say that I'm Billy Colbert, I'm a chronic pink slipper. And I'm just kind of conditioned to, I haven't got my pink slip yet. What's going to alert me is the fact that the bills coming, the next 2 bills are going to say, hey, we're no more pink slips.
We discussed this,
Right.
and that's why we came up with the stamp idea. We
Okay.
don't want to just do a code red, because not everybody signed up for code red.
Right.
Right.
Or Facebook, so actually put it on the pink slip. But, I mean, at some point in time, I mean, if you've got electricity with the town of Blackstone or with Southside or Dominion, there's a responsibility.
And they don't deliver pink slips at Southside, do they?
Correct.
No.
No,
Or
they do not.
Dominion?
No one
They
else
don't get a pink slip at Dominion or SEC?
We're the only
Okay.
place
All right.
that does it.
What is your pleasure, members of council? Any questions of our treasurer?
I move to approve the elimination of pink slip in the desired fashion to make sure makes the least impact on anybody.
Second.
Effective November 1st. And Mr. Miller has seconded that motion.
With your stamps, your code red, Facebook, doing everything we possibly can.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0.
There you go, Eric, there's your money for Baker Tilly right there.
Look at Sharp tonight. All right, now we're going to go back and pay the bills.
Sure you were paying attention.
We ain't got to pay now.
We will now go back on the agenda and pay the bills. Members of council, you have your first batch of bills. They total $628,084.47.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion been made by Mr. Nash and seconded by Mr. Miller. Any discussion about these items? I'll ask, because they exceed $10,000 by code, I'll have a roll call vote, starting with Mr. Morgan.
Aye.
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 And just to point out, did you vote?
That motion carries
Just to
7-0.
point out, there is a bill in here to, because we do some good things up here. There's a bill to help, or a payment to help in the amount of $315. That was our parking fees that we donate every 6 months, I believe. Every year we donate
Good
whatever
point,
parking
Mr. Nash.
fees.
Where's that at?
Up here, about a quarter of the way down.
Yeah.
Help, we decided, I don't know how many years ago, 2 years ago.
Helping Every Life Prosper 2 years ago, that's correct.
Any parking tickets that we receive, we give the money to help for
Very
the
good.
food bank, so.
And on the same note, parking was an issue that a lot of people said it wasn't enforced. It's being actively enforced downtown. And also, the town of Blackstone last month served notices on 6 junk cars. Charges, not just warnings, but charges. Y'all know that. Your next batch of bills, they total $217,029.52. They're broken down by department. I'd entertain a motion.
So moved.
Motion's been made by Mr. Miller. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Morgan has seconded. Any further discussion? All right, I'll ask for a roll call vote because they exceed 10,000, starting with Mr. Morgan.
Aye.
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 That motion carries 7-0. Next is something really neat, and this is an idea that Ms. Hasbrook had. We are going to have a retreat on Saturday, October 5th. We're going to do that at the Nottoway Civic League building. And Ms. Hasbrook has passed out a sample agenda. And Ms. Hasbrook, I'll let you have the floor because this was your idea and a good one. We've never done this before. It's open to the public. It's not a secret retreat.
Yes, passed out an agenda, a sample agenda, and please take this home, Councilman, and add your ideas of the topics. The second page is our town objectives for 2019. The ones in yellow are either in process or completed.
Sorry, we didn't have ours.
We didn't have it.
You didn't have yours.
It's from 9 to 3 at the Civic League.
Yeah, okay, yep, 9 to 3 at the Civic League. Have a pre-retreat homework of reviewing the objectives and having at least one solution or goal for each. And then coming up with a 5-year and 10-year vision for Blackstone is for discussion. Breaking up the goals into 45-minute sessions, get as many discussed and then have a break. There's a lot of thinking and discussing at those times. We'll have a working lunch, and during the working lunch, we will review the morning sessions, continue in the afternoon for 2 more sessions to complete all 20 objectives, and then with a wrap-up and plan follow. There was a suggestion on having a discussion about communicating with each other, how the council, mayor, and town council, and the manager, how we communicate with each other. So that would be also a good topic. So take this back, submit your ideas. You can submit them either email to me or to Jennifer. And I would suggest that we do have a facilitator who would be in charge of being the time manager and keeping the group on topic, and then having a scribe, secretary, to use a flip chart so we see the notes and see the ideas that are being presented during our retreat, then to follow up with typing up the minutes and distributing to the council following.
It sounds phenomenal. Have we named a facilitator? I know one that may be in the audience is pretty darn good. I've seen him in action
I think y'all
before.
approved him last month.
Did we?
Did we approve him?
Who?
Okay.
Jim has.
So let's say his name out loud.
Mr. Hasbro.
Jim Hasbrook. I've seen you in action before. He's great.
Make sure you got some hot dogs.
Now, we did,
And we'll have team building exercises where we take turns falling into each other's arms. Trust me, right?
we did have a question about seeing it as an open meeting, that there may be people from town or community wanting to be there, and if we'd like for them to have input, but they would just submit their questions or comments on note cards that we review either at the end of the session if we have time, or address them afterwards.
Very good. Everybody okay with that? Saturday, October 5th. Moving right along to ongoing projects. Mr. Benorback. We can breeze through these.
Pretty quickly. Dilapidated buildings, if you have been down the East End, 610 Broad Street, which was arguably the worst dilapidated home in Blackstone, is no longer with us. That house is gone and has been removed. They are now in the process of demolishing 101 Viewbank Street. 406 Broad Street will be done at the end of the week, and then the 2 mobile homes on Dillard Street, 107 and 109, will both be removed probably next week. And to add to that list, we're also going to work on 405 Tavern Street and 506 Broad Street. The one on Broad Street has the slats on the windows.
Oh, yeah.
If you're familiar with that one, not really attractive looking. And 405 Tavern is directly across from the new townhouse development that's over there.
From the big blue house.
No, it's a little white house, a small white frame house, right on the corner. across from, remember the ladies that came to the council meeting? The Rhodeses and the,
Oh, you talking
Jen-
about, yeah, okay.
right across the street from that, so we'll be working on getting that. And there are plenty more to talk about, but we got a full plate with these. Let me get these taken care of, and then we'll start working on some other meals tax. I must admit, I haven't talked to the treasurer. Do we still have an outstanding meals tax? Just paid today.
Very good.
Paid Friday.
And the last meeting, we had 2 or 3, but they also, everybody's current. All right, very good, very good.
Street improvement projects, 8th Street to Walmart. My report is, we're gonna come to you at the September council meeting with a final determination if we can do this project less expensively than the $1,600,000 or $800,000 that was provided by B&B initially. That's really a big number, especially for us to come up with half. 800,000 from the state. So, Jason and I have not been down to the site to look at it. We've talked several times on the phone. He's hung up now on East End, laying curb and gutter. If you go there, it looks great. And we'll come back to you with another, because the application, the full application has to be submitted in the month of October, and that'll be our last council meeting before that. So we'll be back to you. And if we can do it less expensively, we'll tell you. If we can't do it less expensively, I'll tell you that as well. But what I would like to do is be able to do it in phases over a couple, 3 years. Do a section on South Main, maybe down to Ursel's house, or to Governor Street the first year. Second year, maybe we get to Fair Street. Then the third year, maybe we get to traffic signal. We can break it up into manageable, bite-sized pieces and just say, these are our projects that we're gonna work on this year. And
If they have a project and traffic will come to a halt during the construction, it'll be a nightmare.
it'll be a little thick, yeah. It'll be a little ugly down through there. But we will report to you at the September meeting and give you a true assessment of, is it gonna be less than 1.6? Can we do it less expensively than 1.6 million? Does Jason think we can do it? And give you an honest estimate, okay?
All you can do. Moving along to the Wrigglesworth Sports Complex. This is really exciting. It's been on the burner for 3 years, 2 years, and we're getting close.
We
Sidewalks.
have received bids. We have received authorization from VDOT to enter into contract. And we received bids from 2 contractors. The low bidder was a local, S. Walker Construction Incorporated, in the amount of $292,388. This will build sidewalk on Oak Street from where it kind of terminates now at the Bagley intersection. Take it down to Birch Street, then curb and gutter sidewalk to the entrance of the ball field, and then it'll be curb and gutter on both sides of Harris Street up to the end of the volleyball court. Our match, or our share, is predominantly in Dan's putting in the antique lights. And this is the first phase of the antique lights. It'll be on Harris Street, and ultimately, because we have been awarded a second phase,
Right.
we've been successful, and that will make a loop around the rest of the baseball field, and hopefully next year. This is a long time coming. This has took a couple of years to get this baby going. But Harris Street's not gonna look like a bomb cratered
It'll make
mess anymore.
sidewalks, the second phase actually connect to the primary school.
Wonderful.
And that way you can walk from Main Street downtown and have sidewalks go all the way to school if you want.
Where are the Gators playing football at this year?
The Gators are playing football at the high school. We practice at Wrigglesworth. But I'm gonna be talking to the school board, as I told you, the next school board meeting about the buildings over there.
We're going to unleash him with the school board.
Just another year gone by and nothing's happened.
And we have the money in the budget, and the grant monies are available. It is open. We can draw contractor requests from VDOT. I'm asking authorization to enter into contract with S. Walker Construction in the amount of $292,388, the predominance of which is grant money.
Mr. Nash has moved. Is there a second? Ms. Jones has seconded. Any further discussion?
Start date when?
I can tell you.
Because we'll have opportunity, if it gets started in the fall, it'll be great, because
We won't be able to pave this year, definitely.
I don't think you'll see the pavement.
We'll pave, hopefully, start of spring.
You'll see pavement hopefully before baseball will get started, but I think you'll see the concrete work going in. And
really beautify that area. And while you're looking, we did have a county official make a comment publicly that local government should look after the school buildings, so.
Well, let's look after getting them torn down. Because here it is, another year's gone by and nothing's happened over there.
Right. I think you're going to see something.
And it'd be the perfect place for the kids to play
Gators
football out
facility.
of.
effective date of the contract is August 19th, today, and he's got 120 days to complete. But I can tell you, he's not gonna complete the paving in 120 days. The concrete will be done, the shoulders will be stabilized with rock and all that sort of thing, but I can tell you the pavement isn't gonna happen, because it just, you can't buy pavement.
That time of year.
Yeah, can't do it.
A lot of bus traffic on this street, though.
we may have to divert some of it.
It can't be any worse than what it is now.
No, true.
It's
Terrible.
All right, motion's been made and seconded. Because of the dollar amount, I'll ask for a roll call vote, starting with Mr. Morgan.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0. We next have the utility upgrade. This goes back to the East Broad Street water and sewer lines.
We are on the last two blocks. They're on East Broad Street, and they are between Dillard and Harris now, and they're about halfway down the street. And then they have to go back and run some sewer line on Dillard Street from the intersection of Broad going south, approximately where Mr. Hardy lives, on the right-hand side. That would be phase one. Phase two will take off from there, but hopefully, without a lot of rain, 2 weeks, 3 weeks maybe, to get it done. We are replacing all the laterals, and that has slowed it up some when they're putting in the laterals to all the houses. We're going ahead and doing that now. But I'm not dissatisfied. They're compacting it good. The curb and gutter is coming in right behind them, and it's going to have a whole different feel in the neighborhood when we're done. It's looking great. And Mr. Miller's been helpful and supportive, and we appreciate that. It's come along good. Go down there if you get a chance. And then we've got more to report about the housing side.
I need to report. I need to get down there myself. Moving right along, that's informational. Number 6 is action. These are some Housing Rehab Board recommended homes that you want action on, correct?
This is informational only.
Oh,
The
it is?
Rehab
Okay.
Board has approved these, and the contracts will be signed.
Okay.
And so we can report that Mr. Arms's house on Dillard Street, Divine Builders, is the recommended approval. If you do notice on the demolition, the town's doing the demolition, so we'll be able to pull that portion out of that contracted figure. It's showing 69,000, we'd be able to take 8,000 out of that, okay? SS&S Construction, who we've dealt with many times, would build a new home for Shirley Hardy. SS&S Construction would also build a new home for the Bassfield family and on Viewbank Street. And Superior Builders, all three of these we've worked with before, we know all these guys. They'll be doing the renovations to the Johnson home on Viewbank Street as well.
This is informational. These are approved by the Housing Rehab Board.
Yeah,
These are the ones, these are the serious, these are the demos and reconstruction.
Build new houses.
Part of the grant project.
Now, that Johnson home that I just talked about, that's a renovation, a rehab, and I think this Tucker home is a renovation.
Renovation, rehab,
Is
yeah.
that correct? The others are new homes.
Okay.
Arms House is only replacing one, correct?
Correct.
But we're gonna tear down two.
Tear down two.
Tearing down two, but there's one going back. Now, Mr. Arms has made a request, if there's money available, would I be eligible for a family member to have a second home? And that would only be if funds were available at the end of the project, and we've explained that to Philip, because there's nobody currently
We
living
use
there.
the funds to fix any ditches down there?
We're doing away with ditches down there.
Okay, all right, good. Better. All right, moving right along, we have a report on our much talked about rental property maintenance ordinance, which is being enforced.
I'm gonna leave that to Ms. Yvonne Jackson Wilson.
We're doing about, I don't know, it looks like to me we're doing about 5 to 10 properties a month on average. Would that be fair to say? And there's a meeting on Thursday, August 29th at 2 o'clock for the clerk, for Ms. Wilson Jackson, Ms. Jackson Wilson, the building inspector, Dean Lewis, and the town attorney. Where is that meeting going to be held? Here?
It'll be
Or
here at Town Hall, yeah.
could we please notify as many landlords, especially Mr.
This is just to go over the ordinance. The ordinance was all
Sloppy and then
wordy
we-
and everything,
right.
so the four of us are gonna sit down and just make sure the ordinance is what it needs to say.
And then it'll be represented to council?
Yes, yes.
I just want to make sure Mr. Yancey and Mr. Jackson were here last month.
Yeah.
Just want
This
to,
is just going over the ordinance and make sure it's worded correctly. We're all in agreement with everything.
okay. Anything you care to add, or? Okay, we had a nice time at your event the other day, by the way. It was very nice. That's informational. Thursday, that's a week from Thursday. Moving along with Howerton Inspection Services for the weatherization.
I think you are looking for action from council to adopt the program design, which is similar to last year. There are a few changes, but I highlighted some of the highlights. It's still a 60-month deed of trust, 5-year deed of trust, which is the same as it has been. It also says it's 0% interest, as it has been, and this is a program focused for owner-occupied.
Okay.
And Yvonne, you'd like a motion to approve?
Entertain a motion to approve. Ms. Thompson's moved. Is there a second? Ms. Hasbrook has seconded. Any further discussion?
The 10% that's mentioned here, that's included in, I mean.
The interest rate, you mean?
Now, someone asked how much Mr. Earl Howerton was
Yeah.
paid.
Where'd that come from?
Yeah.
That's just The agreement that we've been working off of.
Well, no, the question.
Yeah, where that,
Last month y'all asked, when y'all approved his contract for weatherization, you asked how much is he getting paid? Can y'all provide us some kind of figure?
So it's a $50,000
So we
house.
talked
You remember that.
Yeah, so we talked to him and he said he gets 10% of each project.
Okay.
That's just letting y'all know from your question mark.
very good.
Thank you for saving me then.
All right, that's informational. Next, the comprehensive plan.
Let me bring one thing, and I know we got a full house and a lot of folks here.
Yeah.
Exhibit 1 of that agreement, or that program plan, that tells you, as a council, if somebody asks you, would I qualify under this program, and I think we use the same DHCD standards for East End, this is the income that you cannot exceed for the number of people in your household. Okay? So LMI doesn't mean poverty.
Tell them what the salaries are.
Let's say if it's a four-person household, if your household income is $46,800 or less, you're eligible for housing assistance in the town of Blackstone, under weatherization or under the block grant program that we're doing on East End, okay? A family of 6, $54,300, so it's an elevated scale, but a household of 1, $32,800, which is a $16 an hour employee, which is
A lot of folks in Blackstone.
we've got employees that work for the town that make less than $16 an hour for sure. So it's not a poverty level; it's a low moderate income level,
Right.
So is the household, is that kids too?
including kids. Yep. And if you got your cousin or grandma living with you, we got to include their social security check in that figure in as well.
And go ahead, Colonel Tom.
That's a state. That's a state standard that we use.
Do we go, how aggressively does the town say, okay, look, this person says it's them and 3 kids and is there an effort made to verify that everyone
It's verified up front. Now, 3 years from now,
Right.
2 years from now, shoot, grandma can move in and we probably
Okay.
would not know. Yeah. But I think it's verified before we get started and the contracts are signed, that's all, and they
It's
have to
that
provide
time.
us proof. But I can't say for 10 years that we go back and do a head count every time.
All right, very good. That's also informational.
No, I was just thinking, based on Richmond versus Blackstone.
Oh, no. It's adjusted.
That's
It's adjusted.
adjusted by
This is
county.
adjusted for our region.
In Richmond, those numbers would be higher, obviously.
I would say if you're in Fredericksburg, those numbers would be higher. If you're in the DC area or Arlington or something, it'd be higher.
Okay. Item number 9, under ongoing, we have the comprehensive plan, which we're still gathering data. Any idea when we might,
We're gonna finish that before, turkey season. How's that? Turkey
spring or
season's
fall?
April.
Fall or spring?
Time we go out and start calling turkeys, we're gonna finish this before
All
turkey
right,
season.
all right. Moving right along, we have a few items on new business, and we'll get back to citizen comments. We have a standard resolution to fund 2 police cars with a loan and a grant.
We've received a $25,000 grant and a guarantee of a $67,000 loan. This is the same USDA program that we bought our last probably 6 police cars with. We bought 2 last year in the same exact program, and we were lucky enough to be successful again this year. The 25 is a grant, and $67,000 will be paid back over the course of the terms, and I don't have the final terms. It could be 5 years, 4 years, 7 years.
You can't prepay.
They don't like you to prepay.
Don't like it.
They don't like it, yeah.
But we are generally, for the audience, we are trying to replace police cars 2 a year. Would that be fair to say?
Trying to get back on schedule of 2 a year as the economy and our finances have permitted. We actually bought 3 police cars last year. We bought a new Explorer and then the 2 marked cars. So we're trying to get back to, we've got some police car problems. We've got some cars that are breaking down. And they don't have a huge amount of miles, about 105, 110,000 miles, which is not excessive. But like Lee Scott's car went down this week, and so we really want to get some of that old inventory moved and get us out of the repair business.
And we're going to the Explorers.
If we can get 2 vehicles for
Yeah.
$67,000, that's a good deal.
Then you look at it running in town, that's the worst thing you can do with a motor, so it doesn't.
Well, that's too bad. That's the only car I did recognize in town.
I know, that's the only time I know it's Lee. I know it's Lee. That's right. That's right.
Move to approve.
All right, Mr. Nash has moved to approve the request. Is there a second?
Second.
I'll give the second to Mr. Miller. Any further discussion? Because it sees 10,000, I'll have a roll call vote starting with Mr. Morgan.
All right.
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0. Cemetery lot repurchase.
We have a request from David Ostrander, and he filled out the paperwork and completed the documentation necessary to sell back to the town at the price he purchased, which is $700. And I don't know why that was $700, but indeed, he provided his certificate of purchase, and it was $700 for 8 lots. It's actually in the old section of the cemetery, or in the older, not the oldest, but an older section of the cemetery, and I think they'd be very desirable lots. I think people would like to
How much
relocate
do
it.
those lots go for now? What's the,
We would get $3,200 for them if we sold them.
so we'd be crazy if we didn't buy them back for 700. So I move to approve that we pay the Ostranders $700.
How many lots are there?
8.
I second.
We're paying him $700 for the 8 lots?
Yeah,
He
which is
bought
what
them
he
for
purchased them for
$700.
back in the day.
Right, we give right of first refusal, the way the policy is.
Well, that was my motion.
And they'll be resold, they'll go on the market tomorrow
$3,200.
for $3,200.
Okay.
All right, we have a motion's been made and seconded. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. We've done the Armory wedding reception.
Do we need to clean up consent agenda 3 and 4? It was
Consent agenda.
closure for family.
They took it all.
That was all inclusive. All inclusive.
All righty, thank you. My mistake.
We have under committee referrals, and I want to word this very carefully. I don't want anybody to misunderstand. I had 2 items I'm going to refer to committee. I'm going to take the second one first. Our historic business district, as I now am aware of it, has no regulation on churches. We can have all the churches downtown you want. Several people have expressed concern to me that are in the field of downtown, and it's not just in Blackstone but elsewhere, that as businesses sometimes close downtown and property gets cheap, that's not happening in Blackstone, thank goodness. But all of a sudden you may wake up one day and you have 5 or 6 churches downtown, which we love churches, but churches in most cases are exempt from taxes, and usually they're only active 1 day a week. So I've been asked for this council to study limitations or restrictions on churches only in the historic business district, not elsewhere in town, but I'm going to refer that to the Health and Ordinance Committee, okay? And the second one, and this is one of these Blackstone issues that we've talked about for 30 years, and it may not be a big deal, but I feel like obligated. I've been informed of the side view mirrors continue to be clipped, and the 100 block of North Main where it's narrow, and people have been, saying it's been a problem for years. I want to determine, is it a problem? First of all, is it a problem? And if it is a problem, how do we want to go about fixing it? So I want to refer, it's all kind of, I've heard one way, I've heard shaving the sidewalks. I want to refer that, the downtown traffic issue, which could include, it could become a truck route, one way, or shaving the curbs, limiting parking. I want to refer that to the Street and Light Committee. And again, it may not be a problem. It may just be something in small towns from time to time we get excited about.